There are calls to impeach Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh over a New York Times article adapted from the book, The Education of Brett Kavanaugh. It has a new allegation by former Kavanaugh classmate Max Stier, who says he saw classmates push Kavanaugh while he was exposed into a female classmate at a party. However, the article didn't mention that the female student declined to be interviewed, and that her friends say she doesn't recall the incident. Now, the incident apparently is in the book, and the authors of the book will be here tomorrow. But I guess the question is, who edited the article to go into the Times?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was it left out intentionally? Was it something that was left out just because they're trying to condense it?
It's a huge fact to leave out. If you're writing a book about this, I mean...
Well, no, they wrote... It's in the book. All of that is in the book.
But it wasn't...
It's not in the Times article. And
it's a big thing to leave out of your launching article on your book.
That's why I'm asking who put the article.
When you talk about journalistic integrity and why you look at the American public on media and their views on it, why it is so low... I grew up watching my dad read the New York Times, and I would read it with him, and it was a place where I knew there was sourcing, at least beyond one name. And now we're in this place where there isn't a difference many times between tabloid news and a New York Times article. And that, to me, is really sad, and frankly, it plays right into the president's hands. When he talks about the media, it plays into his base.
Yeah.
It's true, right? I mean, you can want... So, New York Times, congratulations. If the president gets reelected, you are helping him get there. Because when you write pieces like this, it's sloppy and it's lazy, and you have not one name in there that was actually directly involved in anything that happened that was named in this piece. Not one. And so what is new? And you've been following this closely from the legal perspective. What is new in this piece that we didn't already know for all of the presidential candidates that have come out calling for his impeachment? Why weren't they calling for that 2 weeks ago?
Well,
what changed?
I certainly think what is new in it is that you have this new claim that Kavanaugh allegedly assaulted and behaved in the same way that in a similar way that Dr. Ford says he behaved and Ms. Ramirez says he behaved. Now you have a third person that allegedly saw the same sort of behavior. My issue with this entire thing, and I've said this on this show many times, is the FBI was not allowed to complete a comprehensive investigation of these allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. There was a one-week investigation, 1 week, and it was to be limited in scope. The president limited that investigation. The Republicans limited that investigation. I have led FBI investigations into sexual assaults. There is no way that you can conduct an effective investigation with over 40 potential witnesses in 1 week. It is impossible. And I think when you have a lifetime appointment at stake, you do not limit an FBI investigation. And as Brett Kavanaugh, you don't want that investigation limited because you want your tenure on the Supreme Court to be a clean tenure. You don't want these things to come up.
I think he said that, though. He said, I welcome, and the president said that, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we knew he didn't mean that.
Well, what we know about the article that came out, and again, I have not led investigations, so I can't speak to the legalities of it, but I can speak to the politics of it. The woman that was named in the article that was supposedly victimized says she denies any memory of the alleged event. This fact in the New York Times article
she says she doesn't... Wait, say that again.
It says... She declined to be interviewed,
She declined to be interviewed, and she doesn't recall the incident.
Okay,
her
so
friends say she doesn't recall it.
Her friends say, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we
again,
haven't heard from
this
her.
is very nebulous, and if it's hard for us to explain, and I do think that the New York Times, the fact that they didn't mention that it came from Max Stier, who was a Clinton defense attorney who battled with Kavanaugh during the Whitewater investigation, is also a fact we should have known. Regardless, this is not... I actually got a tweet on my phone, or a alert from the New York Times from their original tweet, which I can't even repeat it on daytime television because that's how sexually explicit it was.
Right.
And the way that they launched this is a battleground culture war issue right now. And if you're a Republican right now, by the way, there's a thing called the Kavanaugh effect, which happened during midterms where Heidi Heitkamp, moderate Democrats ended up losing their seats because of Kavanaugh. Heidi Heitkamp, Claire McCaskill, Joe Donnelly, Bill Nelson. The politics of this, you want to relitigate. So going into 2020, you want to impeach Trump and you want to impeach Kavanaugh. Is that really the winning strategy for Democrats going forward in 2020? I want to know. Do you think that's what's going to win over the Rust Belt?
I definitely don't think that Kavanaugh is going to get impeached because,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, there is a procedure.
Has that happened before?
I don't believe that it's happened to federal judges, certainly. I think there have been impeachment proceedings against one Supreme Court justice, probably in the 1800s. If I'm tweet me if I'm wrong.
Was Clarence Thomas did they? No. Okay.
But you know, that's not going to happen. But I don't think it's a winning strategy. Impeaching Trump? I don't know. I think it could be a winning strategy. I've said that for a long time. But I go back to the original point. Like, why are we? You know why we're talking about this? Because the FBI wasn't allowed to do its job in the very beginning. I really, really believe that.
But I still go back to the issues with our reporting today. And I do think that I think the American people deserve better. I also think it's unfair to drag other people's lives through the mud when you don't have credible sources to back up your reporting. I think about his two daughters, whether or not, look, it's not a black and white world. It's what he said, what she said. I think the public have their own opinions about this already.
My problem is now it's she said.
Yeah, and also there were people, if you remember at the time, Michael Avenatti brought forward Julie Swetnick, who accused Brett Kavanaugh of being of gang rape, which ended up there was no credible witnesses, and that it got so out of control with accusations that didn't have any merit whatsoever. And I feel bad for both of these people. I feel bad for Christine Blasey Ford. I feel bad for Brett Kavanaugh. And I think, by the way, everyone has made up their mind on this. There's not one voter in this country who, if you believe Christine Blasey Ford, you believe Brett Kavanaugh. I'm sorry, the cast has died.
Yeah.
So what are you doing right now, Democrats?
Die is cast.
Die is cast. Sorry. I know that's what happens when I try and mess up metaphors. Also, I just want to say one more thing about the New York Times. I totally agree with what you're saying about reporting. That being said, when I chose to share that I had a miscarriage last year, I did it in the New York Times because it's still a great publication with a lot of great journalists working over there. And they they have some bad reporting and bad tweeting and pull your crap together. But I'm not going to be one of these people that's like, I hate the New York Times. It's all bad. Because I don't believe that.
The people will be here tomorrow. We can ask them all those questions.
I don't like that.
You have. That's okay.
Yes.
But they do have to answer these questions, and we will have the opportunity to ask them.
See you tomorrow.
Take it away, baby.
And you know we'll ask them.
Come on.
We have a legal note. A Supreme Court spokeswoman said Kavanaugh had no comment on the new allegation or the calls for impeachment and has previously denied all allegations.
We'll be right back. Later.